Here, now that you can see that, you have our handouts and questions. There is ability to ask questions to you and our team here. Um, and if we have the opportunity to get those answers to you, we will during the presentation. However, we will give you an email afterwards to answer all of your questions if we don't have time. And the handouts include the slide presentation, and then once this is done, you will receive a recording of today's activities. So what will we be reviewing today? To start, we will give you an introduction to MVPs and subgroup reporting and the requirements that are in there. Number two, we will be transitioning to MVPs and subgroup reporting, including Health Monix's success plan, and then how to use MIPS Pro to meet your reporting goals for a little bit at the end today. So I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy. She's going to take you through the entire presentation, and you'll hear from me at the end. Once again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask us during the presentation or reaching out to us at the end. So introduction to MVP reporting, I'm handing it over to Christy.
Thank you, Mike, and hello, everyone. And I'd like to first start with an overview of the proposed MIPS reporting frameworks and the different reporting options. Wonderful. So we have traditional MIPS, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, and the APM performance pathway, and then MIPS value pathways. Currently, both MIPS and APP are available frameworks for the current performance year, and you can participate as groups, individuals, APM entities, or virtual groups. And for MIPS value pathways, in which the first available performance year will be 2023, we'll see a new reporting option of multi-specialty practices and subgroups. The MIPS value pathways will add an additional reporting option of multi-specialty groups and subgroups. MIPS value pathways is designed to be a streamlined reporting method that aligns measures and activities across 4 MIPS performance categories and incorporates a set of administrative claims-based quality measures. This will initially include 7 options or pathways that best match a medical specialty, medical condition, or episode of care. Each option includes a smaller subset of measures and activities specific to a disease or specialty. And an introductory set of 7 pathways will be available starting in 2023. Additional pathways can be submitted for approval and approved by CMS up until the final rule. And here, for your reference, just is a list of the initial set of 7 MVPs available for 2023 and the most applicable medical specialties. And just a reminder that this could change because additional pathways or additional MVPs can be submitted for approval and approved by CMS up until the final rule. So why did CMS create this new framework? They have several goals in mind. In addition to streamlining your reporting method through more focused pathways with smaller subsets of measures and activities, MVPs also offer measures with varied reporting options, including through the QPP site and Qualified Clinical Data Registry, or QCDR measures. They offer a smaller subset of measures with benchmarks that are not topped out to better meet your performance goals. They reduce barriers to APM participation by including measures that are part of APMs when possible. And finally, they promote the transition to value-based care by simplifying reporting requirements and allowing clinicians to focus on clinically related and aligned measures that are specialty specific. And in addition to with the participation options, in addition to individual, group, and APM entity reporting options, MVPs will offer 2 additional participation options for multi-specialty groups and subgroups. And that is in 2020, from 2023 to 2025. And in 2026, multi-specialty groups will be required to form subgroups, and we'll review subgroups a little bit later in this presentation. And here's a nice participation timeline. MVPs will be available gradually beginning in 2023. This will allow everyone the time that they need to review requirements, update workflows, and then prepare their systems. And you'll see that from 2023 to 2025, MVPs will be optional and allow various reporting options, including multi-specialty groups and subgroups. For 2026 and beyond is really when they'll require that transition of multi-specialty groups to report in subgroups. And here is an additional just overall transition timeline from MIPS to MVPs. So starting in 2023, CMS will begin offering MVPs as an additional framework. Starting in 2026, CMS will make subgroup reporting mandatory if reporting through an MVP. This will require multi-specialty groups to form subgroups to report the MVP. And per the proposed rule, CMS's aim is to sunset the traditional MIPS framework after the 2027 performance year and make MVP reporting mandatory beginning with the 2028 performance year. So we've gone over subgroups a little bit, and what a subgroup is a subset of a group that contains at least one MIPS eligible clinician and is identified by a combination of the group TIN or tax identification number and something called a subgroup identifier, as well as each eligible clinician's NPI. Subgroup reporting will be optional for the 2023, 2024, and 2025 performance years. And multi-specialty groups will be required to form subgroups to report MVPs beginning in 2026. The goal of creating subgroups is to allow CMS to gain more granular and comparable data for patients, clinicians, and other stakeholders. And participation, subgroup participation is limited to MVP and APP frameworks. It's not yet an available reporting option, though, for any voluntary reporters or opt-in eligible clinicians, at least for the 2023 performance year. It's also important to note that subgroups inherit the eligibility and special status determinations of the affiliated group identified by the TIN, and it's the TIN that must exceed the low volume threshold at the group level. So subgroups won't be evaluated for the low volume threshold at the subgroup level. So clinicians will report on measures and activities that reflect an episode of care or clinical condition as an MVP and subgroup reporting requirement. Each MVP will include clinically relevant measures and activities for the quality improvement activities and cost performance categories. And each MVP will incorporate a foundational layer consisting of promoting interoperability and administrative claims-based quality measures focused on population health. Right. And here is a high-level overview of the MVP and subgroup performance category requirements. So for quality, the requirement is to select and report on 4 quality measures. At least one must be an outcome or high priority measure. These measures must be selected from a limited targeted subset that can consist of between 12 and 4 and 12 measures focused on a specialty, medical condition, or episode of care. And in addition to the 4 quality measures, you will also select one population health measure to be calculated on. There are currently 2 population health measures available, and the results would be added to the quality score. For improvement activities, select and attest 1 high-weighted or 2 medium-weighted improvement activities from a limited targeted subset of improvement activities focused on a specialty, medical condition, or episode of care. For cost, CMS will calculate the performance exclusively on the cost measures that are included in the MVP using administrative claims data. And for promoting interoperability, the requirement is to report on the same PI measures required under traditional MIPS unless the reporter qualifies for reweighting the promoting interoperability performance category. And here is an overall depiction of the MVP reporting requirements for each category for the 2023 performance year. We've just included this here because it helps to see, all the reporting requirements in one place comprehensively. And so in these next slides, we'll provide a breakdown and comparison of the reporting requirements of MVP versus traditional MIPS for each performance category. So for the quality performance category, the MVP requirements are to select and report 4 quality measures, at least 1 being an outcome or high priority measure. And that's from a limited targeted subset of 4 to 12 measures focused on a specialty, medical condition, or episode of care. Through traditional MIPS, the requirements remain the same as previous years. And so that would be 6 measures with at least one outcome measure. And then you would select these measures from the list of 200 plus available MIPS measures. Here is an example of the subset of measures available through the anesthesiology MVP for patient safety and support of positive experience with anesthesiology. And both clinical quality measures and QCDR measures are available. So to report as part of this MVP, you would need to select 4 of the measures and report 4 of the measures from that list. And so for improvement activities, the MVP and MIPS reporting requirements are similar. They are both to select and attest to 1 high-weighted or 2 medium-weighted improvement activities. And the difference is that the MVP has a specific subset of improvement activities focused on that specialty. With MIPS reporting, the clinicians or groups can select activities from a list of 200 plus improvement activities. And here's another example of improvement activities available through the patient safety and support of positive experiences with anesthesia. And so MVP participants would select 1 high-weighted or 2 medium-weighted improvement activities from this subset of activities. One thing that differentiates the MVP reporting option is the foundational layer, which consists of both the population health measures and promoting interoperability. So with the population health measures, the requirement is to select 1 population health measure at the time of registration. The results will be added to the quality score. And the measure, it does not require data submission. CMS will calculate the score based on administrative claims data. And so the 2 population health measures available for selection in 2023 are the hospital-wide 30-day all-cause unplanned readmission rate for the merit-based incentive payment system program eligible clinician groups, And then the clinician and clinician group risk standardized hospital admission rates for patients with multiple chronic conditions. The other part of the foundational layer is the promoting interoperability performance category, and the MVP reporting requirements are the same as traditional MIPS. MVP participants will report on the same promoting interoperability measures required under traditional MIPS, unless the participants qualify for reweighting of the PI performance category, and there are different ways in which you can qualify for that reweighting. It could be due to clinician type, special status, or an approved promoting interoperability hardship exception application. And an important distinction is that subgroups will submit PI data at the group level, not the subgroup level. The performance category scoring, this is an example of the 2022 MIPS performance categories and their weights. And MVP scoring policies for determining the final score will generally align with those used in traditional MIPS across all performance categories with few exceptions. And there are some upcoming changes. When preparing for this transition, it's important to be aware of the upcoming changes. So for the quality performance category scoring in 2022, there is a new introduction of a policy for scoring new measures without a benchmark in their first year in MIPS to receive a 7-point scoring floor. So it will receive between 7 to 10 points. And then in the measure's second year, receive a 5-point scoring floor. So from 5 to 10 points. A big change though is that there are no bonus points for measures that meet end-to-end electronic reporting criteria. So no CERT bonus points. There are also no bonus points for reporting additional outcomes in high priority measures beyond the one required. And there are 0 achievement points for the quality performance category for any required measures that aren't reported. And the proposed changes to the quality performance category scoring for 2023 are to remove that 3-point floor for quality measure scoring from traditional MIPS. So no 3-point floor will be available under MVPs. Measures without a benchmark or that don't meet that 20-visit case minimum will earn 0 points. And this does include outcome-based administrative claims measures, if available and selected by the MVP participant. One exception would be that small practices will continue to earn 3 points for these measures under traditional MIPS and MVPs. And measures that can be scored against a benchmark will earn between 1 to 10 points. And then some information about the performance category scoring for the foundational layer. The population health measures selected by MVP participants will be included in the quality performance category score. And then similar to the policies for administrative claims measures in traditional MIPS, these measures will be excluded from scoring if the measure doesn't have a benchmark or meet the case minimum. One exception would be that subgroups will receive the score of the population health measure of their affiliated group if applicable, in the event that the measure selected by the subgroup doesn't have a benchmark or meet case minimum. And measures in the PI performance category will be scored in alignment with traditional MIPS scoring policies. Subgroups will submit the PI performance category data of their affiliated group, so they will submit that data on the group level. All right, and then here's some more information about improvement activities and cost scoring. So improvement activities will remain 15% of the final score. And moving forward, MVP participants would want to select 2 medium weighted or 1 high weighted activity, or the participation in a patient-centered medical home improvement activity. That's an option, if the activity is available in the selected MVP. And the cost performance category will be 30% of the score. And moving forward, starting in 2023, if reporting through an MVP, participants will be calculated on the cost measures included in the MVP. And here's another overview of the performance category scoring for traditional MIPS in 2022. And scoring for MVPs will generally align with the traditional MIPS program, and performance category weights will be consistent with traditional MIPS performance category weights, and the reweighting policies will also align with traditional MIPS. And here is our Health Monarchs recommended success plan for a successful transition to MVPs and subgroup reporting. So to start out, just be aware with some deadlines and important dates for the 2022 performance year. This is for traditional MIPS. And so we have information, and how to set up your account. And keep in mind that, the submission deadline is, our recommended submission deadline is February 15th, 2023. And it's always important to be aware of these deadlines and important dates. And when transitioning, in future years to MVPs and subgroup reporting, here are some recommended strategy goals. So review the participation timelines, review deadlines and important dates for MIPS and MVP reporting, review MVP registration requirements, review and finalize participation options, and finalize reporting goals and targeted scores for each performance category. So some important MVP deadlines and important dates for 2023, really a lot of it involves registration. So April 1st, 2022 is when the MVP registration opened. June 30th, 2022 is the MVP registration deadline if completing the CAPS for MIPS survey, and that is in order to align with CAPS for MIPS registration deadlines. November 30th, 2022 is the final MVP registration deadline. And to register, participants will be required to select the MVP they intend to report, select one population health measure included in the MVP, select any outcomes-based administrative claims measure on which the MVP participant intends to be scored if available within the MVP. And that's the MVP registration deadline. And we also did include just the traditional MIPS submission deadlines. So the recommended MIPS Pro submission deadline for traditional MIPS is February 15th, 2023. And here are the 2022, what we call the pacing options. And you will see that to avoid the negative 9% payment adjustment, the threshold has increased to 75 points. And that is now, that was once considered exceptional performance. So it is very important to finalize which categories to report. And then you'll see that to receive the exceptional performance bonus, the threshold has increased as well. In order to be eligible for a positive payment adjustment above 9%, the requirement is 89 to 100 points. All right, and here are some standard recommendations for avoiding the MIPS payment adjustment. And this is something to keep in mind while determining which performance categories you'll report, and specifically determining which quality measures to select and report to meet that 75-point requirement. And this is for 2022. And then, the requirement for quality would be 25 points. And then for PI, 20 points, for IA, 15 points, and for cost, also 15 points. And we have some reweighting here as well, but this is just something to keep in mind when finalizing measures, and then also determining if MVP reporting would be advantageous starting in 2023 and then future years as well. And here is our MVP and subgroup readiness checklist. So as you know, MVP reporting will be an optional reporting method starting in 2023. And subgroup reporting will be required if reporting as an MVP starting in 2026. What we recommend is starting by looking at your group and identifying applicable MVPs. So identify any applicable MVPs from that list of MVPs and the associated clinicians, and also identify any possible subgroups. For quality, determine if your practice can report 6 applicable measures, and then review previous year's measures, or if you're reporting in 2022, review the current year as well. Review the performance, the measure benchmarks, the how close you are to meeting the case minimums, and then the data completeness for each measure. And then also upcoming in 2023 for the MVP performance, the MVP reporting, review the administrative claims measures and see if they apply as well. And for improvement activities, review the improvement activities included in the MVP and consider if they are meaningful and reasonably implemented in your practice. And some additional benefits of MVP reporting are that practices can meet the MVP reporting requirements for quality by submitting data for fewer measures than traditional MIPS. So practices unable to report 6 applicable measures or meet the data completeness criteria for 1 or more measures, they may benefit from MVP reporting. It all depends on the measures, the measures that are eligible and how many, you can select, and then again, where you are in meeting the data completeness criteria. So those are a few things to consider. And here is just some reporting preparation for multi-specialty practices. So to prepare for the transition from multi-specialty practices to subgroup reporting, identify any possible subgroups and applicable pathways from that list of MVPs. Review all 7 MVPs and quality measures and improvement activities to determine which clinicians have MVPs with applicable measures and improvement activities. Determine performance and the incentive using the highest score. And always keep in mind that there are multiple reporting options. So with traditional MIPS, if you report as a group and as individuals, CMS will review both scores and take the highest between group and individual. So, when in doubt, you can report through multiple reporting options, and you can do that just to test things out, to plan and to prepare and see how things would go in future years. All right, and then I am going to go ahead and turn this webinar over to Mike Lewis, our MIPS guru, who will talk about how to use MIPS Pro to meet your goals and finalize your reporting strategy.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Chrissy. So this is a great time if you want to get your questions in as I'm going through these final couple slides to see if we get Chrissy or we to answer some of these questions. And then we'll probably end a little bit early today, but we'll see how it goes. So how to use MIPS Pro to meet your goals. So MIPS for live dashboards and drill down capabilities, you'll have actually not shown on this screen, but the ability to take a look at your measures and compare your MIPS score for your whole practice to your MVP scores utilizing our analytics platform. You'll be able to see all of the different categories that you'll be eligible for. What's nice is that you don't have to choose in January or before the reporting period, which way you're going to report. You have some time to decide if you're going to report through an MVP or through standard MIPS in 2023. So you'll be able to track most of the year and decide which one you'll be performing well. And you could do that right through our system and our analytics system as we move forward and drill more down into the MVPs. Our easy to navigate dashboard really is going to open up those opportunities for you to see where you're missing data, what you need to work on, and how you need to improve. It's going to be imperative with the MVP because once again, it does have the ability really to change how you are reporting. You know, we've been doing PQRS and MIPS for a number of years, and there's been changes throughout the years, addition to categories like the cost category and so forth. However, with this change, there will be substantial changes in how you're going to do your workflow. Less measures, different things that need to be done and understood. So utilizing our system and utilizing and seeing what patients are meeting the criteria you need to and not, you can do that right through our system here. We do bring you more than just your MIPS registry. We do have the ability to work with you through data integration, attacking your gaps in care. We work with some MIPS consultants. We have a number of QCDRs. If you haven't looked, we have a number of specialty QCDRs that you have, as well as we're really about attacking and helping you with your cost score, looking at your risk scores and understanding your HCC scoring and how that's impacting your MIPS score. And then here, what we also have is the ability to work with you right across your whole platform, put you in touch with our partners here that can get you the best and value-based care across the board. So stay tuned for the next webinar. We'll be doing a couple more coming up in June. I don't want to make any guesses, but I would say one of them is going to be on cost, and we'll probably have some information on either ACOs or MIPS to go along with this MVP outline we are moving forward with. If you need to contact me or get in contact with Christy here, you feel free to reach out to us at contact@healthmonics.com. You have a lot of information here to reach out to us, including our website, phone number, and email. And then I'm going to go take a look at these questions as we can go back to this. Hold on. All right, Christy, you ready for some questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
Sure. All right, cool. The first question I have for you is what happens if your specialty is not represented in the 7 that are listed for pathways?
And so that's a very good question. So the specialties are still being finalized. There is a chance that it could be included in future years. And I know that it's also possible to, you know, apply or submit new MVPs for your specialty if you do not see the specialty on the list.
All right, cool. I was trying to bring it up. I brought up the wrong slide. Hold on. There you go. There's the right slide with the 7 different specialties. There are a number, as Christy said, a number of new ones that are coming, as well as, you know, we're staying ahead of the ball game and making sure that we're prepared, especially for those groups of providers that we work with the most on working on how we could figure out where the MVP fits in. The goal of CMS moving forward really is to maximize the MVPs and have everybody either part of an APM or MVP moving forward. So I do have the expectation that this number of 7 will grow astronomically, if not before 2023, moving into the 2024 year. I think everybody's going to want a piece of this.
Definitely.
The next question was, what are the population measures? Will specialties have a say in the measures that they are being evaluated on? I guess those are two different questions. I could bring up the population measures, but if you would like to handle, Chrissy, while we're here, will specialties have a say in the measures that they're being evaluated on? That'd be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. So there are two administrative claims measures that you can select one of those two measures. So yes, you definitely will have a say, and you actually will be required to indicate, when registering, for the MVP, you will be required to indicate which of those two measures you are planning to submit, and CMS will automatically calculate that score.
Perfect. I cannot find the population health question measures. Give me 1 second while I look that up. A couple of my slides aren't showing up. All right, I know it was part of the presentation we had before, but the person who asked that question, I'll make sure I send you that part of the presentation so that you have that as well. Another question, are there going to be the 6 bonus points for small practices in 2023? Or actually for 2022, sorry.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the small practice for 2022, there will still be the bonus points, the 6 bonus points for small practices. And I believe from what I've read, the MVP, the MVP reporting requirements will align with traditional MIPS in 2023. So, we will find out in the final rule what will happen in terms of 2023.
Great. There are a couple of questions around psychiatry and psychology. I think I could get those questions answered real quick for you. Currently, there is no MVP for either one of those groups, but I can tell you that every specialty that's out there is working on MVPs as CMS is pushing them in that direction. So I wouldn't be surprised if, if not by 2023, 2024, you'll be looking at having mental behavior health MVPs moving forward. Another question here for you, Chrissy, is what is the definition of a multi-specialty group?
So a multi-specialty group, from what I've seen, is just, there are single specialty groups and there are multi-specialty groups. And so with an MVP, a single specialty group would just be a group of one specialty. A specialty group, would be a group with 2 or more specialties.
Terrific. So someone just asked me, they were a little late to the call, and they asked what MVP stands for. So MVP stands for the MIPS value pathways. I'm going to be honest, I was skipping on my brain this morning and I couldn't think of it when my wife asked me. So that is another alphabet soup for us here as we're going through this. A couple people asked about training for MIPS and training and working with MIPS Pro. I do want to tell you that there are 2 options. Chrissy's team here that she's been working with on the support side for years is here to help you with measure selection, with missing data, looking at your reports and so forth. And if you're in need of a higher level consulting, looking at workflow within your practice and so forth, we can put you in touch with a number of consultants that range from the ability to work with you on a weekly or monthly basis to someone that comes in and just gives you a plan of attack in the beginning of the year. Do we know, this question, is it known yet if MVPs will offer exclusions to certain categories like MIPS?
So I believe so. I think the exclusions also are expected to align with traditional MIPS, or exclusions, I should clarify. Does that mean
So
eligibility or
for certain
performance
categories,
categories?
so like for instance, if there is a psychology MVP, will they still be excluded from doing PI?
So I believe, yeah, I think that the exclusions would align with traditional MIPS. So, if they're part of if, as psychologists, as one of the special statuses or clinician types, it's automatically exempt from PI. If that's still the case in 2023, then it's expected that MVPs will also follow suit with that, since the exclusions are supposed to align with each other the same way that the requirements are.
Exactly. Cool. The only thing I want to add to that is that for the MVPs, they will have to have a cost category to be considered an MVP moving forward. So that won't be an exclusion. I know PI
Oh.
may be an exclusion moving forward.
Mhm.
The one thing I know is that you can't create an MVP. As far as today's rules, as we know, CMS can change that by the time I'm done this sentence. But as far as we know, you need to have a cost measure to be considered an MVP. All right. That is basically everything. If Christy, any parting words of wisdom to our friends here?
So I see actually a few people here who are very great at reporting MIPS, and I've talked to a few people in here as well. And so I think that the great news is that you will be prepared for MVP reporting because the requirements are very similar.
Great, and thank you. And as the salesperson of the crew, I will tell you that we here at Healthmonics have everything available for you and the ability to help you out
Yes,
with all of this. So
absolutely.
please reach out to us. You will receive an email later today to have my contact information on it with a copy of this video and the slide deck. We appreciate everybody's attendance today, and everybody have a wonderful holiday weekend, and stay safe and enjoy. Talk to everybody soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.